It was a quiet Tuesday night. Our bedroom was dim, the only light coming from my phone screen. I thought my husband, Marcus, was asleep, his back to me, his breathing steady. I had become used to our nightly routine of emotional distance. We hadn't been intimate in months, barely talked about anything besides the kids and bills. Somewhere along the way, we became roommates instead of lovers. I told myself I wasn't doing anything wrong. It was just messages, just talking. His name was Nathan. We had met at work 6 months earlier. He was easy to talk to, curious about me in a way Marcus hadn't been in years. He asked me how I was feeling, remembered small details, and made me laugh when I felt invisible at home. That night, Nathan messaged me, "I wish you were here with me right now. It's hard going to sleep without hearing your voice." I smiled in a way I hadn't for a long time, and typed back, "I wish I was too." We went on, messages growing deeper. I told him things I hadn't even admitted to Marcus, how lonely I felt, how scared I was that I had become someone else entirely, and then Nathan sent a photo. Nothing explicit, but intimate enough. I looked at it too long. Then typed a response I can't forget. "I miss your hands." That's when I heard a shift in the bed. I turned and saw Marcus, his eyes open, staring straight ahead. He wasn't asleep. He never had been. He said nothing, just got up and walked out of the room. The days that followed were chaos. Silent, then loud, painful. Marcus never yelled, but the betrayal in his eyes was louder than any argument. It wasn't physical. I kept saying. It didn't go that far, but he said something that still echoes in my head. "You gave him what I've been begging for, your heart. We tried therapy, we tried talking. Some days I thought we'd make it. Others, I saw nothing but the wreckage of a trust I had helped destroy." Emotional infidelity doesn't leave bruises, but it leaves scars just as deep. To this day, I don't know if Marcus ever truly forgave me. We're still together, but something is different. He watches me differently. I type slower. I no longer assume he's asleep, because sometimes love isn't lost in one night. It slips away over time, and sometimes it's rediscovered not through passion, but through pain and honest work. Emotional infidelity is a form of betrayal that can be just as, if not more, devastating than physical affairs. While a physical affair involves the body, emotional infidelity targets the heart and mind, often the deepest parts of a person's identity. In many real-life cases, individuals who experience emotional cheating describe it as more painful than a sexual encounter with another person. This is because emotional infidelity breaks the very foundation of trust, security, and emotional intimacy that couples rely on to sustain their connection. When someone emotionally invests in another person outside their marriage or relationship, it creates a private world that excludes their partner, a space filled with secrets, attention, and emotional bonding that rightfully belongs within the primary relationship. One of the complexities of emotional infidelity lies in how difficult it can be to recognize or define. It often begins innocently, a few messages here and there, a supportive conversation with a coworker, a shared joke over lunch. But as the connection deepens and the emotional investment grows, a line begins to blur. The person engaged in the emotional affair may not even realize how far it's gone until it's too late. They might justify it by thinking, "It's not like we're sleeping together," or "we're just friends," all while sharing thoughts, dreams, fears, and hopes they no longer offer their partner. That emotional space, once reserved for their spouse or significant other, is quietly and consistently given to someone else. Real life stories of emotional affairs often show how people underestimate their power until the damage is done. For example, a woman in a 10-year marriage may find herself feeling seen and validated by a coworker who texts her good morning every day, notices her mood, and asks questions her husband hasn't asked in years. She begins to look forward to his messages, confides in him about her marital dissatisfaction, and slowly withdraws from her husband emotionally. She may not have intended to cheat, but her spouse begins to feel that emptiness, like someone else is now holding the key to her emotional world. When emotional infidelity is discovered, the betrayed partner often feels a different kind of pain than with physical affairs. It's the sense that their partner chose to give the most vulnerable, tender parts of themselves to someone else, leaving them shut out and second place in their own relationship. Emotional cheating is especially dangerous because it often thrives in silence. Unlike a one-night stand or a brief physical encounter, emotional affairs are maintained through ongoing contact, consistency, and shared emotional intimacy. The secrecy, frequent communication, and emotional closeness create a bond that rivals or even surpasses the primary relationship. In many ways, this type of betrayal can feel more intentional to the partner who's been left behind. While a physical affair might be seen as a moment of weakness or a lapse in judgment, emotional infidelity is often a slow, building process that involves choice after choice to continue, to invest, and to hide. It requires effort and emotional presence, both of which should belong to the committed relationship. Another layer of emotional infidelity's complexity is that it's often socially minimized or misunderstood. Society tends to place more weight on physical affairs, leading many people to dismiss the emotional closeness they develop with someone outside their relationship as harmless. However, clinical therapists and relationship experts increasingly agree that emotional affairs can inflict wounds that are harder to heal. Rebuilding trust after an emotional betrayal is incredibly difficult because the injured partner knows that the infidel shared private thoughts, hopes, and vulnerabilities with someone else, sometimes the very same feelings they longed for but never received. Even more painful is when emotional infidelity continues despite the betrayed partner's knowledge. Some people struggle to give up the emotional connection they've formed outside their relationship because it fulfills needs they feel are unmet. In those situations, the betrayal deepens because it's not just a secret anymore, it's a choice made in the light of awareness. The emotional affair partner often feels like a lifeline, while the primary partner feels like an obligation. This dynamic creates profound resentment, confusion, and a sense of being emotionally abandoned. Reconciliation becomes a complex journey that involves not only addressing the emotional betrayal, but also examining what led the relationship to that fragile place in the first instance. Emotional infidelity isn't just about having feelings for someone else. It's about investing your emotional energy, time, and attention into someone outside your committed relationship. It's the absence of shared vulnerability, the choice to connect elsewhere, and the breaking of an unspoken agreement to be each other's emotional home. Secrets have a way of coming out, often in the quietest, most unexpected moments. One of the most haunting aspects of emotional infidelity is the way it unravels not through confrontation or exposure, but through a subtle, sometimes silent discovery. There is something profoundly heartbreaking about a partner discovering the truth without a single word being exchanged. Just a look, a shift in breath, a glance at a screen. These moments live in real, life stories again and again, when one spouse assumes the other is asleep, not paying attention, or too emotionally checked out to notice, only to realize they were watching everything unfold in real time. It's a moment of quiet devastation that can alter the course of a relationship permanently. These silent discoveries cut deep because they come without warning, without preparation, and often without the chance to explain or control the narrative. In many real-life instances, the person committing emotional infidelity doesn't believe they'll be caught, not because they are careless, but because they underestimate their partner's awareness. They convince themselves that what they're doing isn't serious, or that it's private enough to stay hidden. The secrecy becomes part of the thrill, a private world where attention, validation, and comfort can be found. But real relationships aren't built in shadows. Eventually, something gives way. A late night message, an affectionate tone in a conversation, a name spoken too fondly, or a gut feeling that refuses to be ignored. Often, partners discover emotional infidelity in moments that seem ordinary, lying in bed, hearing a notification, noticing a facial expression. These instances become unforgettable, not because of the content alone, but because they represent the moment when illusion gives way to truth. One of the most devastating elements of these discoveries is the stillness that accompanies them. Unlike the chaos of catching someone in a physical affair, emotional betrayal can be recognized in complete silence. A wife may see a message flash on her husband's phone that reads, "I miss talking to you at night." A husband may lie beside his wife as she types intimate messages to another man, thinking he's asleep. These aren't confrontational scenes. They are moments that feel like emotional ambushes, where one person's world collapses without a sound. The silence can be more painful than yelling or crying. It's the sound of realization, the moment when someone understands they've been emotionally replaced or sidelined in a relationship that once felt secure. These silent discoveries also complicate the recovery process. The partner who witnesses the betrayal might not immediately confront it. They may internalize the pain, question their worth, or try to make sense of what they saw without jumping to conclusions. But the damage has already begun. Trust doesn't shatter instantly. It crumbles piece by piece, especially when the betrayal is ongoing and layered in emotional depth. In therapy and support groups, individuals often describe the specific moment they knew something had changed. When they pretended to be asleep and heard their spouse whispering into the phone, or when they saw a text thread late at night and decided to say nothing, just to see how far it would go. These are not just stories of betrayal. They are stories of quiet endurance, where people sit with their pain long before they speak it aloud. In the context of real, life emotional affairs, the moment of discovery is not just about catching someone. It's about the realization that the relationship may no longer be emotionally safe. It's a signal that their partner's emotional focus has shifted elsewhere. That discovery, made in stillness, becomes a turning point. It forces the betrayed partner to reevaluate everything they believed was true about their connection. The person beside them, whom they trusted to be emotionally loyal, becomes unfamiliar. And for the person who's been discovered, the moment often marks the end of denial, the realization that their actions are no longer hidden, and that the emotional world they built in secret now has consequences they cannot ignore.